Hi everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. Before I get started, I just want everybody to say this. Bear with me. This is a video that's going to be kind of fun, a little bit in a sense, but keep in mind that I'm using my usual awesome techniques of editing and stuff to show this video. So bear with us. We're going to get through this. Um, Today I decided that I'm going to talk about a topic that everybody out there sort of understands, but no one's ever really talked about except for maybe one or two of some cool ones. And today I want to talk about advertising in comics. Comic books have had advertising in them since day one. Selling advertising helps pay the bills, helps get the comic out, because you're obviously not going to get anything back from the actual money until you get them to the distributors and such. So, and in order to, order books, get them printed and paper and all the inks and all that stuff, you need some sort of cash flow to begin with. So they've been selling advertising since day one, whether it's ads for, Daisy Rifles or Charles Atlas and Count Dante and all that other stuff. There have been ads in comic books. In fact, there's so many ads like Sea Monkeys are well known, or the army sets that you get with that you think they're really awesome and they end up being little paper things, according to my friend Stephen Gentner. But I ordered the Sea Monkeys myself, so very, very disappointing. You always have to take an ad from a comic book with a little bit of grain of salt, because you never know what you're going to get. Some of the other cool ads over the years we're going to show. I have picked out this book, a random book. This is Conan the Barbarian, number 52. And what I've done is I've gone through the book, checked all the ads, and have, basically done some research on the companies and stuff involved. Advertising, by the way, could be expensive for comic books. The one advantage is when you bought an ad in a comic book, at least with all the major companies, you bought an ad in all of their output for that month. So some of these more expensive rates understand that you're going into, in Marvel's case in the mid 70s, they were publishing 45 titles at some point, even with a lot of reprint titles and stuff. But the fact is, so you were getting your money's worth in a way. The only information I could find about ad rates was that in 1972, Marvel was charging $7,500 for a full-page color ad. Okay, so like we'd used to see the Hostess, fruit pies, cupcakes, whatever. Those would have been $7,500. But by 1977, the price had raised to $16,365 for the same thing. Those were the only prices I could find. DC apparently charged $16,800 at the time. It's 1976, but that isn't verified. This book here is from 1975. So it's in the middle of those two extremes in terms of what you had to pay for the advertising inside. So before I get started, I wanted to point out, some ads are fun, some ads are just ads, and some ads you don't know why they're in a comic book. Some you completely do. There was also ads, like that were classified size, which you're going to see, like X-ray specs and the other stuff like the joke gum and the whoopee cushions and all that other stuff. We'll get to all that type of stuff. I didn't do research on the classified stuff. There just would have been too much. But basically everything I did was either full page, half page, or quarter page. So, of course, we've got the cover. Now, the inside cover is a typical one that you see a lot, okay? You see, from Charles Atlas on, you've seen these types of ones. This particular one is from a company called Universal Bodybuilding that was headquartered in Dearborn, Michigan. It was known for being a mail-order bodybuilder through most of the 20th century. So this wasn't something that was an overnight fraud. The course was considered average by those who have knowledge of that stuff. So that is, just think that person probably paid a little less because it wasn't colored, the ad, but still it was nuts. The next ad in the book is here. It's Marvel Hero stick-ons. This is by a company called Our Way Studios. These are stickers. These, of course, are some of the many products that this company had done. This company, One Way Studios, did a lot of superhero and other stuff merchandising, especially for Marvel and DC in the 1970s. A lot of their products, because they also did action figures and dolls, they were known for a couple other types of things. Their products, you can still get them from collectors off of eBay, etc. So they are very, very, very well known. The next one on this page is from the Cleveland Institute of Electronics. Become an electrician. Okay? This college actually was around for a while. It closed in 2022. This was actually a legitimate school that did not mail order courses that was considered certified by 1970 standards. So you actually, when they say become an electrician or whatever, they actually meant it. It's actually backed up. And I guess when you're a teenager in your 1970s, you don't know what you're doing, you're reading these kind of ads would probably talk to you. Here is the first of what I call the classified pages in the. This one seems to be primarily focused on other collectibles such as coins and stamps. You've got one here, complimentary collection of stamps. See the Washington thing, and you've got become a veterinary assistant, small things like that. Ones that they didn't want to pay big bucks for, I guess. And then on the next page, we have Slim Jims, which is the first actual product here. We all know what Slim Jims are for the most part. It's an actual product, that exists all the way till today. Slim Jims, of course, are the meat sticks. They've been around since 1929, so they're not brand new. Here, also, we have a company called, it's a fly-by-night company called Evil Towels. Basically, they just were selling, Evil Knievel towels and a bunch of other stuff with do with Evil Knievel. This company was hard to find. I couldn't find a name, but judging by the thing, the Evil Knievel company for doing products like this split it out. There's the towels that had the thing. There's the posters that had another post office box, etc., 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 which made it very difficult to find. So I wasn't able to get a lot of information with regards to that. The next ones are going to be fun, I promise. You know how we make fun of a lot of stuff? Well, here is yet another classified page. This one, of course, is products, and in one case, there's a couple comic books, but at the bottom it says hypnotizer, and it's like got her, taking off her clothes. Excuse me. Not something you would expect to actually work. This is where we start seeing the fraud stuff. Like free shoes, retail value. All you need to do is send money. Not really free shoes, right? For a catalog. The next one is one that people should be very familiar with. This has been in comic books forever, from the 1930s right up to the 1980s when they suddenly stopped doing this. This company is now still around. It's now a magazine. It is not a newspaper like it used to be. And that is Grit. Everybody's seen Grit ads over the years, whether it's this one or the Richie Rich one, where apparently his dad started his fortune by selling Grit newspapers over the years, This has become one that is pretty, shall we say, interesting. And of course, there's the kid with the paper. Grit is currently a magazine and still exists, and it also has a website, grit.com. Formerly, it was a weekly newspaper popular in the rural United States. Founded in 1882, Grit's circulation reached 500,000 in 1934. And a lot of that was from ads in things like Life magazine and other popular sci-fi magazines from the pulps, and here in comic books. Everything to reach the young kids that would distribute it for them. They had the option that you could keep 9 cents when it sold for 25 cents a copy, or you could get prizes and send all the money. It was really kind of a. I'm curious if anyone out there has ever sold grit. I have been looking to see if there's like grit salesmen on the web if anybody's written about it, but I wasn't able to find anything. So I'm sure it's like every other thing where it's door to door. They send you like 20 papers, and you try and sell them to the neighbors and such and such. Although if it's rural, can you imagine tractor along, doo, doo, doo. I don't know. 1930s and 50s, right? You didn't drive much if you were like a 10-year. Well, first of all, you weren't driving if you were a 10-year-old kid. Next up, this one is something that confused the heck out of me because I would have never thought something like this would be around. Oh boy, I thought Oh, there we go. Here's more. Here is a Marvel Comics ad for a book that Stan Lee has written called the Origins of Marvel Comics. Now, I am curious now that I've seen this. I kind of want to get a copy of this book just to see. But over here is the one that I was curious about. Apparently, in the electronics vein, you could become a member of the Auto Upholstery Institute and end up getting your license, so to speak, a career in upholstering vans. Now, in the 1970s, van life was big. It's made a comeback now, but it's a different type of van life. Back then, it was the 1970s hippie vans where people were hanging out and living in, traveling around. I remember my dad was a van guy, so we went to some of these van inns when I was young, and basically, it's just a bunch of people getting together. Think of having concerts. Think of a Woodstock without the dirtiness and vehicles. So those were interesting, I will say. Basically, though, this institute was a place in Orange, California, which only lasted for a few years. However, this company lives on because people still make t-shirts and stickers, apparently, available on eBay and other sites like T Republic, based on this apparently this Auto Upholstery Institute has really made a hit for people that are really into 1970s culture. It surprises me. And the bottom half is one of those typical ads of a company that I couldn't really find, where it's like, win a trip to Disney World, but send us money for this catalog to get into the contest. American laws back then compared to Canadian laws back now, and even American laws now. Back then, you could have a sweepstakes where you could force people to buy something to get into it. That is now considered a lottery, and it can only be done at the government level. So that is a difference of like how they've changed laws over the years. One of the things I've discovered doing this advertising checking is the amazing bits of culture that you realize has changed, especially if you were alive then. Like I was alive during the 70s. I remember a lot of this stuff because I was born in 71. When I was talking about 76 on, I was 5 years old and starting to be aware of the world. And that is when I was like, and I'm going, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. I remember this. That's not different now. That kind of stuff. Next up here is another one of those classified pages. This is the one that has most of the like they're on both sides, and this is the one that has the posters of the monsters and the bald cap and the gum and the X-ray glasses and all that stuff that people always made fun of in the comics. Like even Ambush Bug made fun of his see-through clothes, man. But I wanted to bring one attention to this particular attention to this. This here is an ad for a guy in Queens, New York, named Giarino, who actually had a store back then and actually started advertising in comic books before Mile High Comics made it a big thing. This book, by the way, predates Mile High Comics ads. They didn't come to the late 70s. But this guy for years and years and years was a big. He's not there anymore. A big shop in Queens, New York, and was probably he would have been as famous back then as Metropolis is now, Metropolis Comics. So there was the time that they did it. Now here is what I one of these scam advertisements, as I would say at the top here. This company I could not find any information on. But basically, it was saying, order this and get your one free. And it's basically a little wallet thingy where you can put your social insurance numbers and all that stuff. And the difference was it was a metal plate that had your social security number on it. Because, no, identity theft apparently wasn't something at the time. But at the same time, I couldn't find any information about the company. I couldn't even find information about companies that do this, other than Reddit posts saying, "Does anybody know where this company was, or well, what this was?" So people have been looking for the same stuff I have over the years, by the looks of it, with Reddit and stuff. Now, the next one is one I'm sure people have actually been waiting for. This is the Captain Marvel one. This is the Hostess Twinkies ad. The Hostess, of course, did lots of these ads in the 70s and early 80s, advertising their fruit pies, their cupcakes, and the Twinkies. They had so many different characters. They had so many different storylines. And this, believe it or not, has become a popular subgenre for collecting. People buy it. There are people who collect the books that have the specific comics that they want in them. They're trying to get a complete collection of all of the Hostess ads. And you can find a complete list of the Hostess ads, at least in the DC comics, from Mike's Amazing Worlds of Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. By the way, the company that Hostess Twinkies had them is still going today. It is owned as a subsidiary of the J.M. Smucker Company. So Hostess Company is still named that, but it's wholly owned by the Smuckers. These are fun. You could do a video just on the Hostess ads. There's so many. There's also a few cool ones with the Sears and Superman over the years. I mean, obviously this doesn't have everything, because here we are getting to the end. Here is yet another Marvel. This is an in-house Marvel one. They were selling t-shirts directly. And there's two left to go, guys, because this is the back cover. This one's black and white, so it probably didn't cost as much as the color ones. But this is a company by the name of Nearest Discount Sales Inc., which is a company that specialized in mail order specialty items. And in the 70s, their biggest sellers were things called Hollywood dolls and fishing equipment. They advertised in comics and magazines and different publications, newspapers as locally as well. They started in the 1950s and they closed shortly after the 1980s began. Some of their products, like the Hollywood dolls, are collectible and they sell on eBay. And this shows you, like, in Canada especially, mail order was huge. From say 1900 to the 1980s, when the shops and the malls finally started proliferating and you started to see the goods more and more in stores. Because there wasn't a lot of the retail like that. You had to send for things. And you took your gambles, right? You took your gambles on the size of things and all that other stuff, hoping that when it came in, it would fit or whatever the case may be. And so it was a little hard to return because you had to send stuff back. Sometimes it was cost prohibitive and all that other stuff. But the fact is, for 80 some years, mail order worked. And people, you don't hear a lot of complaints about it. You don't read a lot of complaints. We're coming back with the internet, by the way. We're going back to the future in the sense that mail orders back because everybody orders from Amazon and etc. And it's again everything gets delivered to home. So really, what's changed? And the last ad is on the back here. This is another one of those colleges where you can send in things. This is LaSalle Extension University. This was a legitimate university that operated from 1908 till 1982, and it was nationally accredited school, offering both in class and distance learning. This school actually had some heft because there's a few famous alumni of this school. Two people that we would maybe know is Adlai Stevenson was a graduate of the school, but the one everybody would know and go, "Wow, Colonel Sanders was an alumni of this of LaSalle." Yes, Harlan Sanders got his college degree through the mail while he was running his Kentucky Fried Chicken outlet. So there we go. Now there were some ads that a lot of people know, like the Dungeons and Dragons, that come later, the Star Frontiers, like all the TSR stuff, video games, the anti-drug messages, all that came later. I literally grabbed this because I thought the 1970s had the most interesting mix of advertising because you had celebrity ones. Now this one didn't have any celebrity ones. Like you got later, you get ones with O.J. Simpson, Bill Cosby, Pete Rose, Steve Garvey, all big, wonderful people out there, who are great role models to this day. So that was sarcasm, but I digress. If you like this video, I know it went a little long, but it was because the topic was so much fun, and I wanted to enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed this because see the advertising revenue that this sort of stuff brought helped keep the lights on at places like Marvel. Marvel was struggling during the early 70s until they got the Star Wars book. Once Star Wars came out, Star Wars apparently saved Marvel. But advertising has always been a big part of comics. And the fact that we read them still, I mean, I think if current comics went back to this type of advertising model, now, of course, nobody does that anymore thanks to online and stuff. But if they went to that, we might not be struggling to have the comics come out like we do now. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe below. I'd like to know what you thought about it. I'd like to know what your favorite advertisements have been over the years, whether it's the Sea Monkeys, etc., etc. Just drop a line, say hello if you want. Thank you very much for coming today. I really enjoyed putting this video together. The research was actually a lot of fun. Of course, I'm also a bit of a historian typey guy. So anyway, thank you very much. My name's Matt. I like comics, and I hope you do too. Bye, everybody.